Atmosphere is just building and building and building as the players come out. That's the voice of Sam Parkin, who'll be your commentator alongside Nigel Adderley here on Talksport 2. It's Plymouth Argyle versus Southampton in the Championship.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon once again. And Plymouth Argyle have really put Devon well and truly back on the football map. And Home Park already looks like a tough place to come in the Championship this season. And with Southampton still adapting to life outside the opulence of the Premier League, another full house are noisy and expectant. Plymouth's home record was incredible last season, and the early signs are they've managed to maintain that momentum. And while the Saints snatched a late winner at Sheffield Wednesday on opening night, a limp defeat at Gillingham from their fringe players, and a chaotic 4-4 draw with Norwich since, shows they are still a work in progress, with 2 weeks of the window still left. Here are the two teams. 3 changes for Plymouth. One of those is enforced. Saxon Early is injured, so Kane Kessler-Hayden, on loan from Aston Villa, comes back into the back 4. Another Villa loanee, Finn Azaz, starts in midfield, along with Luke Cundle, who was alongside Russell Martin on loan at Swansea from Wolves last season. Their team then is Hazard in goal, Edwards, Scar, Gibson and Kessler-Hayden the back 4, Cundle, Houghton and Azaz in midfield, Whittaker, Hardy and Mumba in attack. 2 changes for the Saints. Shea Charles and Che Adams come into the side, which drew 4-4 with Norwich last week. The players who make way are Carlos Alcaraz and Will Smallbone, who are both injured. So it's Bazunu in goal, Walker-Peters, Bednarek, Stevens and Manning will be the back 4. Looks like 2 in midfield, potentially Charles and Armstrong, with Adams, Teller, Adam Armstrong and Adoze sorting out the forward positions between them. Lovely sunny day here now in a real footballing outpost in terms of the Championship down here in Devon. But Sam Parkin, the atmosphere here and the record for Plymouth last season shows anybody coming here is not going to find it easy.
No, it's a terrific atmosphere. You can see that the club is just building and building off the pitch and in fine voice, and they'll have to tap into this brilliant support if they're going to be successful this season. But the players, you know, a large portion of these guys remain from last season. Obviously it's the same managerial team. Yes, they've altered the setup slightly in the summer, but the strengths of the team remain the same. So they'll go into every game in the Championship with utmost confidence, and I don't think anything changes. Even though it's recently Premier League relegated Southampton, the home side have the momentum, promoted last season, racking up the points, racking up the goals, supreme home record. I still make them slight favourites for the maximum points today.
Well, Southampton wearing an away kit not too dissimilar to Plymouth ones in the past, of white shirts and light green shorts. Plymouth in their familiar dark green with gold trim. And it's Southampton who will get this game underway. David Webb is our referee. Blustery day here in Devon, bright sunshine overhead, and this should be a fascinating 90 minutes. Promoted Plymouth against relegated Southampton in the early weeks of the Championship season here on the home of the EFL, Talksport 2. And it's Southampton defending the goal away to our right in the first half, the Barn Park end, which has around 2,000 Saints supporters who had a very early start, many of them, to get down here today. Southampton is around 160 miles from Plymouth, but if you don't pick the right roads to go down, it can be a very long journey as Plymouth look to come forward quickly. On the far side with Barley Mumba wearing number 2, but he's very much an attacking player. Now Luke Cundle on loan from Wolves, wide to Kane Kessler-Hayden, who's come back into the side at left back today, in towards Cundle, and a good ball into the penalty area. There's a nice turn from Azaz, but the shot on the turn is blocked, and in the end Southampton scramble it clear. It's quickly returned forward on this near side by Scar. It's gone behind for a goal kick. It's knocked over Plymouth's Pilgrims mascot in the process, but that was a promising start from the home side.
Yeah, it's blustery down there. It's going to be difficult to control your passes if you do clip one towards a teammate, but that was a lovely piece of play on the left hand side, nice and intricate, and then a wonderful little take from Finn Azaz, just chopping in field of his marker, blocked at Source's strike, but fantastic effort.
Southampton try and play the ball out, and they've given the ball away. Azaz again, tricky into the penalty area, left foot shot is deflected, and it loops up into the arms of Gavin Bazunu, but that is the danger there for Southampton. They're trying to play through a very high press, and they almost paid the penalty.
Yeah, committing players forward, Argyle there, and the deflection actually helps out Bazunu, because it looked like the left-footed effort was going to steer just inside the bottom corner. The deflection took the sting out the strike.
Now Stuart Armstrong coming forward now for Southampton, wide to the pace of Teller on the far side, who had such a good season at this level with Burnley on loan, of course, winning the Championship during the previous campaign, but back in the Championship, back at his parent club Southampton, as Southampton try and build again with Jack Stevens, who came through the academy here at Plymouth, and he was a very popular figure among the autograph hunters outside the stadium when Southampton arrived around 2 hours before kick-off. Now Walker-Peters with a bright green rinse wide towards the far side again, and Teller tricked his way into the penalty area. Back towards Stuart Armstrong, tries to jab it through to Adam Armstrong, but it's cleared long downfield. There's a chase over the top for Hardy, but Bazunu will retreat into his penalty area and claim for Southampton. 3 minutes played here at Home Park, and it's a breathless start.
Yeah, shame for Argyle there. There was a more simple pass onto the right-hand side to Morgan Whittaker, who was in a nice little bit of space, went to completely split the Southampton defence with 40-50 yard pass for Ryan Hardy, ran through to the keeper.
Teller again with an early cross into the penalty area, and it's claimed by Conor Hazard, the Plymouth goalkeeper wearing all sky blue, defending the Devonport end away to our left hand side. And the atmosphere here, as we anticipated, is extremely raucous, but it's great to be part of it here on Talksport 2 with 3 minutes played, and it's Plymouth Argyle 0, Southampton 0. And it was a long journey down for many of the Southampton supporters and those of us covering this game. And of course, Devon has not had a club at this level for a long time. Plymouth last in the Championship in 2010, but they returned with 101 points last season, and they won 20 of their home games here. It was an incredible record, and while there were bigger clubs in pursuit of them, they were the best team in the division, no question. As Ryan Manning takes a throw in on this near side for Southampton, one of the players who followed Russell Martin from Swansea in towards Adozie, and now the space for Stuart Armstrong. Teller is the ball wide to the right hand side, but he comes in field to the left and is quickly challenged, and it's won back by Plymouth. And now an opportunity for Barley Mumba, the former Norwich player, to try and break over the halfway line. He was just checked, and there was a handball there from a Southampton player close to the halfway line. It was Shea Charles, and it will be a throw-in, in fact a free kick given to Plymouth Argyle in the end with 4.5 minutes played here. It's goalless, and it's not really a clash of styles because Plymouth are trying to play their football, but if Southampton try and play out from the back as we've seen, that could be a real danger for them.
Yeah, I think there's a bit more variation, if you like, in Plymouth Argyle's setup. They will go long for Hardy on occasions or try and get it into Whittaker in transition. Two quite similar setups though. Edwards, right back, nominally right wing back for Plymouth Argyle, is tucking into midfield and trying to get a little bit of an overload in there. Both Southampton's fullbacks, Kyle Walker-Peters and Ryan Manning, started this season going into midfield when they're in possession. They're playing this kind of 2-3-2-3, if you like, Southampton. Two centre-halves will get on the ball, get very high. Kyle Walker-Peters and Ryan Manning, no width at all, really narrow, coming in to try and get an upper hand in the middle of the pitch as well. So that's a fascinating area, who gets the upper hand. And Armstrong, Adam Armstrong, he's playing advanced midfield today. I wondered how him and Shea Adams was going to line up, who was going to play withdrawn, who was going to play wide. Well, Armstrong is actually just playing in Alcaraz's position in the midfield trio.
Armstrong challenged by Edwards on this near side. Plymouth try and bring it forward again, but Mumba has been challenged by Stuart Armstrong, who wins the ball for Southampton. And the Scottish international plays the ball in field again to Shea Charles, one of a number of players signed from Manchester City over the last couple of years. Jason Wilcox, who was the head of the academy at the Etihad Stadium, has now moved to Southampton to be the director of football, and 10,000 minutes was given to players aged 21 or under in the Premier League by Southampton last season, which is a laudable approach, but it's a risky one, and it ended in failure.
Yeah, it did, and Southampton supporters probably not too sorry to see the back of some of the players that they felt really underperformed last season. Already touched on Alcaraz. I think he was one of the shining lights when he joined in January, but you can't say that about too many of the Southampton players last season. So interesting to see how the ones that are low on confidence, that have maybe been touted for moves do just knuckle down, probably when the window closes as well. How is their attitude? How is their performance level when ultimately they see themselves as Premier League footballers? Going to be a fascinating couple of weeks, I would suggest, for them and for Russell Martin.
Well, Southampton have made approaching £150 million in transfer sales now. Of course, Romeo Lavia and James Ward-Prowse departing for big fees this week. Plymouth have broken their transfer record twice during this transfer window. 2 record signings for £1 million. Barley Mumba and Morgan Whittaker, which just shows the financial levels they're working at as Finn Azaz challenges Shay Charles on the near side and fouls him, and Southampton will have a free kick just outside their own box, and Bednarek goes back to Gavin Bazunu, but with a rolling ball, and David Webb will insist he takes it again. 7 minutes played here on Talksport 2. It is Plymouth 0, Southampton 0 in the Championship at the start of a very busy day across the Talksport network. Coming up at 3 o'clock over on Talksport, full commentary of Brighton against Wolves with Ian Danter and Perry Groves. Here on Talksport 2 at 3:15 we have commentary from the summer series, Wales against South Africa, with Alfie Reynolds and Richard Hibbard. That's followed by Ireland against England on Talksport 2 as well at 5:30 with Andrew McKenna and Fergus McFadden. And over on Talksport at 8 o'clock, big game from the Premier League, Manchester City against Newcastle with Sam Matterface and Trevor Sinclair. And France against Fiji will finish off our rugby union coverage today on Talksport 2 at 8:05 with Russ Hargreaves and Tom May. All coming up on the Talksport network today. And of course the Women's World Cup final over on Talksport with Joe Shannon and Leanne Sanderson, Faye Carruthers leading the team. 11 o'clock kickoff, England against Spain, live from Sydney tomorrow morning. Now Adam Armstrong turning on the edge of the penalty area for Southampton, and he's been caught there by Scar, and it's a free kick for the Saints in a good area left of centre, about 22 yards out.
Yeah, in a good position there, just trying to prise Argyle open. It's a nice little angle that Adam Armstrong makes, and he's taken off his feet. It was a definite free kick, but he poked it round the corner into Shay Adams, who was almost in a one-on-one situation around the edge of the D. I'd have liked to see the official just wave play on there and see how that attack played out.
Well, Armstrong is down receiving treatment. 9 minutes played here at Home Park, and this is a good free kick area for the Saints. Armstrong scoring 2 penalties last week. Yellow card for Dan Scar following that challenge as well. And Armstrong already has 3 goals in the Championship this season, having only scored 2 in his 2 previous seasons in the Premier League. But he is a proven goal scorer at this level. Scored 28 for Blackburn in the 2020-21 season before moving on to the Premier League. And both he and Shay Adams have had real success at this level. In fact, Adams last hit double figures when he was in the Championship with Birmingham City. But Stuart Armstrong is over the free kick here with Ryan Manning. It will be Armstrong with the right foot or Manning with the left. And the Plymouth player is down, acting as a draft excluder at the back of the wall. Every single green shirt is back defending here. And it's Armstrong who curls it right-footed, and in the end it's catch and practice for Connor Hazard.
Yeah, nice and simple. First save of the match for Hazard. Just didn't get it into either corner. Plenty of pace on the strike, but yeah, couldn't angle it towards one of the sides of the net.
Only one of the previous 18 League One champions have won promotion straight through to the Premier League, and that was the Norwich team, which had Russell Martin as part of it just over a decade ago. And Southampton, of course, got back-to-back promotions under Nigel Adkins from League One to the Premier League. And the last time they played here, they won 3-1 in the 2010-11 season. And Southampton were promoted that day, and Plymouth were relegated. And since then, Southampton have spent 11 years in the Premier League, and Plymouth had 7 seasons in League Two, and on 2 occasions almost dropped out of the Football League entirely. But they are very much on an upward curve now, relishing occasions like this with 11 minutes played, 0-0. Stuart Armstrong down the line looking for Teller. Coming across to make the challenge is Lewis Gibson. He dramatically crumples to the turf as he's challenged by Teller. I think a free kick has been given on the byline for Plymouth, but again, the pace of Teller down the right could be a real threat for the Saints.
Yeah, he's full of confidence, had a good start to the season. Obviously brilliant at this level last campaign for Burnley. That was interesting. Bazunu just taking an absolute age to release. Man for man, Plymouth Argyle high up the pitch, not allowing any of the Southampton defensive players to come and get on the ball, and therefore Bazunu picked the ball up and threw it almost to the halfway line, where Stuart Armstrong had just peeled away from his marker, picked it up in a nice bit of space, got a bit of applause from Russell Martin, because that's what it's about, I suppose. It's tempting the opposition onto you and trying to release it into a position where you can comfortably keep the ball, keep possession, and they were able to do so higher up the pitch there through Armstrong.
Well, Southampton have had the most possession in the Championship over the opening 2 games, which is the least surprising stat of the season so far, with Russell Martin, their manager. We've seen how MK Dons and Swansea have played in an uncompromising style in terms of the fact the manager won't compromise on the way he wants to play. As Scar plays it forward now for Plymouth, up towards the halfway line. It's allowed to run further forward by Azaz, but Hardy unable to read that, and now Charles has it in the centre circle for Southampton. Stevens challenged by Whittaker, and it's a fascinating subplot here today. Whittaker was deemed to be surplus to requirements at Swansea for a long time under Russell Martin, and Whittaker has the opportunity to show him what he missed here today playing for Plymouth, as Adam Armstrong again plays the ball around the corner looking for the run of Adozie down the left, but he didn't read it, and it's gathered again by Hazard.
Yeah, they've really controlled things. We shouldn't be surprised, but maybe expected Argyle to come out the traps a little bit quicker. Unable to really have too much on the Southampton goal. 2 number 8's important for the Saints, I would suggest. Armstrong, they need to be, when they get the ball in good positions, in good possession, they need to be forceful with their movement. Try and get close to Jay Adams, try and make runs in beyond Plymouth, otherwise it becomes a bit too statuesque, a little bit too predictable, and that's why they're maybe not creating great chances at the moment, Southampton. That's what will transform Russell Martin's team into an excellent side.
Hardy in pursuit on this near side, gets there before Stevens, who comes back with the challenge at the expense of the first corner for Plymouth on this near side there right.
Yeah, he'll have the beating of the 2 centre-halves, no question, if he can get down the sides of them. Fortunate ricochet off Stevens there, just as he looked like he was in real difficulty.
Corner kick which Morgan Whittaker will take in front of the Southampton fans away to our right. Plenty of height forward for Plymouth, high to the far post, but it's nodded clear by Charles. Returned back into the penalty area, then blocked, and in the end Houghton goes all the way back towards the halfway line, and it's worked wide by Kessler Hayden towards Mumba, who turns neatly, has Whittaker in support down the Plymouth right. Now Azaz finding Whittaker again with the opportunity to attack the penalty area. Azaz quickly on towards Hardy, but in the end it's almost shepherded behind. Bednarek goes to ground, wants a free kick, but a corner kick's been given once again, and that was good stuff from Plymouth.
Yeah, there was a terrific pass in amongst that from Morgan Whittaker through the eye of a needle into Edwards, I think it was.
Corner's played short. Mumba back towards Whittaker. The low cross there was blocked on the edge of the penalty area. Houghton goes back towards the middle of the field, and Gibson wide to the far side again. Azaz in space looks to pirouette, but Charles has won it back too easily from a Plymouth point of view, and Southampton can now break. Adams plays it wide to the right hand side, and Teller coming back is Lewis Gibson to try and make the challenge, but Teller, with no real support ahead of him, comes back in field, and Walker-Peters will now move it forward for Southampton down their right. 15 minutes played here on Talksport 2, and it's Plymouth Argyle 0, Southampton 0 in the Sky Bet Championship. Now the Southampton captain, Jack Stevens, born in Cornwall, came through the academy at Plymouth, as Adam Armstrong plays it wide towards Adozie, who just had to put a sprint on to keep that ball in play. Now he turns away from Kessler Hayden. High cross towards the far post over the head of Teller, but Walker-Peters will be able to regather here for Southampton. He's challenged by Mumba, but now there's space and time for Charles to go all the way back towards the halfway line, and the 2 central defenders. First Bednarek and now Stevens. Here is Manning towards the left, and Sam Adozie, one of another of the Manchester City Academy products in this Southampton team. Bednarek looks to his left and right, and then finds Stevens, who clips it over the top. Adam Armstrong gathers well, drives in the shot, right-footed. He tried to go for the Hollywood effort on the edge of the penalty area with the outside of the right boot, and it skewed off that boot some way wide.
Yeah, I think that's really encouraging, though. Both Stuart Armstrong just spoke about it, and Adam Armstrong making dynamic forward runs beyond Che Adams, behind Plymouth Argyle's back line. Really assured first touch from Armstrong. That's where the striking instincts will kick in, even though he's playing deeper today. Immaculate touch onto his right foot. Good sighted goal, and just couldn't get the necessary contact, but it's a warning.
Poor ball play back into the Plymouth penalty area there by Jordan Houghton, and he's given it straight to Nathan Teller, but he's forced wide by the pace of that ball towards the corner flag on the far side. In the end, the challenge comes in, and it will be a throw in to Southampton, which Kyle Walker-Peters will take. And the more accomplished football has been played by Southampton so far, but the more penetrating football, you could argue, has been played by Plymouth, which is maybe a story of the season for Southampton fans to get used to. But Walker-Peters plays the throw into Stuart Armstrong, tries to play it down the line wide to the far side, but it takes a ricochet off Barley Mumba, and it will be a throw-in once again for Southampton, almost level with the edge of the Plymouth penalty area down their right, with 18 minutes played here and no goals in Devon. Stevens. Bright sunshine, but plenty of grey clouds overhead. Charles, wide towards Walker-Peters. His ball in field ricochets off Cundall, but Southampton win it back once again. And there was a very strong breeze from left to right going across the pitch here, which is maybe causing more issues for the players than it feels it should do from up here. But Morgan Whittaker plays an excellent ball wide towards the left, and Hardy now, who breaks into the penalty area. Low cross in, is scrambled away at the far post by Stevens, with Barley Mumba looking to apply the finish. Now Stuart Armstrong heads it wide to the far side. Houghton, though, gets there first, but Houghton drags Teller down in his attempt to keep the move going, and Southampton have a free kick. But it's taken quickly by Stuart Armstrong, and he's given the ball away straight away, and Plymouth will try and build now with Barley Mumba in towards Hardy on the edge of the penalty area, but Southampton repel that, and Adams plays it wide towards Teller. Back in field towards Adams, who tries an audacious ball from right to left crossfield, doesn't find a dozy, all the way through towards Hazard.
You're only 20 minutes in, but you can see that the pattern of this game, but also the pattern of Argyle's shape, the way that they're going to get success this season is through the dynamism of the front three. All of them really want the ball into the space, and when Morgan Whittaker picked up the ball there, centre of the pitch, Ryan Hardy's not showing, he's on his bike down the side of the central defenders. Great mobility, lovely weight on the pass, and all of a sudden Argyle really in business. So that is going to be something that every team in the Championship is going to struggle to deal with this season.
Sam Parkin, who enjoyed a Devon derby win here with Exeter at the end of his career, but Plymouth have moved on since then, and they're moving now as Azaz plays it wide towards the left, and Mumba, who breaks into the penalty area. Still Barley Mumba, the shot though into a whole posse of Southampton players. It was Stevens who blocks it in the end, and they will scramble the ball away up towards the halfway line, but Plymouth will quickly come back again. Mumba, midway inside the Southampton half, back towards Houghton, and Plymouth just looking to play some keep ball inside their own half, and Scar, the former Birmingham defender, goes all the way back towards Connor Hazard, who was signed from Celtic, the Northern Ireland international, and he was on loan at HJK Helsinki last season, won the Finnish League with them, and also had great experience in both the Champions League and the Europa League in Europe. And now looking to bring that to this Plymouth Argyle team back in the Championship. Armstrong has got space down the left. Adozi offering the width wide on that left-hand side, but it's infield again to Armstrong. Adam Armstrong with the cross in. Teller will gather at the far post. Kessler Hayden just losing it. Then Walker-Peters goes down inside the area, challenged by Barley Mumba, and the referee David Webb says no penalty.
Well, I think
no VAR, of course.
I think he's got to be careful, Kyle Walker-Peters, because in the last minute last week against Norwich, in my opinion, He bought a penalty that was given by the officials wrongly, and Southampton escaped from that game with a point. Again, they're very similar. He's just anticipating that there's going to be a challenge. He's playing for it. He does get the toe on the ball, but I think he's looking for it once more. And on this occasion, the referee hasn't bought his gamesmanship, and possibly what happened last Saturday has gone against him there, if the referees are aware of that, and I'm sure they will be.
Well, it was a challenge from behind, though, from Bali Mumba, and he was taking a risk. The monitor we have here is about 20 yards to our left-hand side, so we're craning our necks to try and have a look at it as Plymouth try and play their way out of their penalty area, and they do so with some comfort. Here is Kessler Hayden, lofts it wide to the far side. The ball skims off the top of Walker Peters' head. Plymouth will try and keep the attack going, but it's back towards Gavin Bazunu once again. 22.5 minutes played here on Talksport 2. Plymouth Argyle 0, Southampton 0 in the Championship. Game Day Live with Adrian Durham will be underway at 1 o'clock over on Talksport, building up to a busy day, and they will have all the goals as they go in amidst our commentary game from the South Coast, Brighton against Wolves. Now Morgan Whittaker coming forward for Plymouth, right down the centre. He's got two Southampton defenders backpedaling. Now he finds Bali Mumba. He tries to transfer it back towards Whittaker down the left, but the ball scoots away from him and behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, hasn't got that ferocious pace, has he, Morgan Whittaker? Because when he took receipt of the ball there, he's one-on-one momentarily with Jack Stevens, but doesn't really back himself or doesn't have that natural pace to get beyond. He's a bit more of a galloper, if you like. He's a nice mover on the ball, and there was a pass onto the right-hand side. I think it was Finazaz. Had he seen it, little reverse pass would have been what was required. Just over-elaborate and dispossessed in the middle of the pitch.
And it's back with Connor Hazard. Once again, Plymouth have already beaten Huddersfield here by 3-1. Neil Warnock, of course, was a former Plymouth manager, got them promoted from the 4th tier back in the 1990s. A 0-0 draw at Watford last week, and they also beat Orient in the EFL Cup by 2-0. They've got a home game here with Crystal Palace in the second round, which they'll look forward to. And Southampton, a real mixed bag on the opening night live on Talksport. They won 2-1 with a late goal from Che Adams at Sheffield Wednesday, and then a second string team really lost 3-1 at Gillingham and were very poor in the Carabao Cup. And then last week they played Norwich and drew 4-4 in a game in which both teams may believe they should have won it, but in the end Southampton had to rescue a point with a very late penalty from Adam Armstrong, who was on the ball now, plays the ball in field but he's given the ball away, and an opportunity for Azaz to come forward. He had Hardy in space to his left, but he only picked out Bednarek. And here is Edozie for Southampton on the break, down the left. 4 white shirts in support. Edozie finds Adams inside the penalty area, further wide towards Teller. The shot was on target, but it was mishit in the end, and Hazard is able to shovel the ball behind for a corner.
Yeah, Southampton this time counter-attacking to good effect, and I think just that final little bit of quality from Che Adams just let him down here. It's going to be a first-time finish for Nathan Teller. It has to be, because the defenders are getting back, but he's just on the stretch, and I think that's what does for the Southampton wide man.
I think it may have been going wide anyway, but Connor Hazard wasn't to know that, and Ryan Manning will take the corner kick, and in-swinger on the far side.
He's such a two-footed player, Nathan Teller. He could have actually played that safe side and left it a little bit short.
The corner's played short to Walker Peters. Now Teller thinks about the left foot shot onto the left, further wide towards Shea Charles. The cross to the far post and the header over the top from Stevens, but he was offside anyway.
Yeah, lovely shape on it from Charles. We were right behind it, just lofted it beautifully in between Argyle defenders for Stevens. Would have gone down as a really presentable chance, but referee's assistance flag comes to the aid of Argyle.
25 minutes played. The Plymouth Argyle club flag, which has the Mayflower crest on it, is really billowing in the wind on the far side, on the top of that stand, the Lyndhurst stand on the far side of the pitch. And I just wonder if the wind is beginning to cause a few more issues at pitch level. We can certainly begin to feel the breeze up here at the back of the main stand, the Mayflower stand here at Home Park. That's Whittaker. Plays a good ball wide towards the left-hand side, and Mumba once again. He's got Kessler Hayden in support, but That link-up doesn't quite come off, and then Teller pushes both arms into the face of Mumba. He goes to ground, and it's a free kick. Teller complains, but it was always going to be a free kick, and it's taken quickly. Teller again now with a foul on Kessler Hayden, and it's another set piece here, and Teller is just beginning to simmer for Southampton.
Yeah, might have a little word with him. I don't think there's enough in either challenge to warrant a yellow card, but that'll be his last one, and then you'll get the old totting up. Probably gesticulation from the referee if he does go to his book in the next few minutes, but yeah, not enough there for it to be a yellow card. Naturally, the crowd get up and get vociferous, but that's inevitable.
There's also a 12:30 kick-off in League One, and it's Bolton 0, Wigan 2. Bolton 100% so far. Wigan unbeaten, but on -1 points at the bottom of the table. But Charlie Wyke and Stephen Humphreys have scored in the first half in that local derby out the Unibowl this afternoon. 0-0 here with 27 minutes played on Talksport 2, the home of the EFL. It's a game in which Southampton have dominated possession, 65% so far, but Plymouth have had more shots. And they now have a throw-in on the far side, and we were mentioning the geographical location of Plymouth down here in Devon. Their local derby this season is Bristol City, and that's 125 miles away. And as you found earlier on, the journey from Bristol to Plymouth is not entirely straightforward.
No, it's a fair drive, isn't it? Be a good game though. I think they'll probably develop a bit of a rivalry maybe as the game's playing, if they stay up the next couple of seasons with Bristol City, considering the relative proximity of the two clubs. But
just 125 miles.
Yeah, shame for them that.
Well, they've got Cardiff, that's about 150 miles, and then Southampton. 160 miles is the third closest club to them, but I'm sure it would have taken the fans making that trip this morning a good 3 hours at least. And then at the other end of the scale, they've got Norwich, 340 miles, and Sunderland, 415 miles. Take a flask. 28 minutes played here, 0-0 at Home Park, and the sun has gone in momentarily.
Joking apart, it was a bit of a culture shock for me down at Exeter. The amount of time spent on the coach. Fridays, invariably, we'd leave at 7:30, 8 a.m, train somewhere en route to make sure we were up at our hotel in good time for the Friday. No point in risking travelling on the Saturday, even for the London games, etc. So it was very different from what I was used to, and I suppose that's part of what I was touching on earlier with the loan players and Stephen Schumacher and his staff. Mark Hughes is a fellow Scouser. They've all committed to this area, bought into it. You've got to move the family down. You've got to accept that you're not going to see probably your friends for large portions of the campaign. And I think that's...
But it's a fantastic part of the world to live as well.
Of course, yeah. But I think you have to get into the young players. You have to, speak to them, make sure you're getting the right characters.
Free kick's been given to Plymouth again inside the centre circle. Houghton, the player who was just dragged back there, and David Webb, the referee, will have a word here and show a yellow card to Stuart Armstrong for the shirt pull.
Yeah, well, he's like I just touched on the totting up process that I was anticipating for Nathan Teller. He's actually just done that for Stuart Armstrong, who I can't really recall making too many infringements, so a little bit of a surprise.
He may have paid the penalty there for Teller's earlier fouls.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, and like we touched on, the crowd just getting a little bit on top of the officials and vociferously appealing for some decisions to go their way.
Well, Russell Martin animated on the edge of his technical area, clapping his hands and telling his team to maybe push up and support the forward players. There's a long ball played forward for Plymouth there, got caught in the wind, and Ryan Manning challenged for it, then realised he wasn't going to make it and had to readjust very quickly. Walker Peters now for Southampton, and we can see the shadows of the clouds scudding across the pitch at increasing speed here, just indicating the strength of that wind. Certainly overhead, as Stevens has it now, and his shirt is being rippled by the breeze here. As Stevens plays it wide towards Manning, and a good ball played forward by Manning towards the edge of the penalty area, but Adams had made his move too soon and he's flagged offside.
Yeah, that's what they need more of. Balls down the side. There was a nice little gap there developed from Southampton's possession play deep in their own half, and Jay Adams was on to be put into the channel, went a little bit too square, a little bit into his feet. He'd gone marginally early anyway, but yeah, you want to see a bit more of that. It's a bit more variety.
Well, Ryan Manning hits the deck here and claims that he was fouled there. Plymouth do have a throw-in, which Joe Edwards was going to take, a player who came through the academy at Bristol City, so he'll enjoy the local derby coming up this season. And he was one of the players who joined this club in League Two. Of course, they were promoted via points per game during COVID in 2020, but they really justified that by their performances, gradual improvement in League One despite the departure of Ryan Lowe. Stephen Schumacher chose to stay here and of course guided his team to the Championship last season and back to this level. Now Edwards from that throw-in back towards Scar and all the way back to Hazard, the goalkeeper, who is outside his penalty area but plays a short ball in field to Houghton. And Plymouth now look to mix it with a high diagonal ball again. Scar, and it's an excellent ball from him, right to left to find Mumba. He's got plenty of support inside the penalty area. Kessler Hayden with the cross in, but he's challenged on the far side, and in the end the ball goes behind via Manning for a corner kick.
Very nearly, lovely switch of play, and then Nathan Teller was really slow to react on the far side. Kessler Hayden had the march on him. If it wasn't for Bednarak coming over with that sliding challenge, surely that would have been the opening goal. Little bit slack from Nathan Teller's got to match the run of the fullback there.
Houghton with the corner, an in-swinger driven in towards the 6-yard box, headed away by Bednarek towards this near side. One back though quickly by Edwards, by the corner flag down the Plymouth right, looking to take on Teller and win the corner, but in the end the final touch was off Edwards and it will be a goal kick. And it's a very colourful scene here at Home Park, much of the crowd decked out in green and white, but it does seem that most of the Southampton fans here today are wearing the new retro home kit they have, a throwback to the shirt they had in the late 1980s, and it's a riot of red and white in terms of colour and not attitude behind the goal away to our right, as Southampton play the ball forward long this time, almost seem to hold up in the wind, and Adams now plays it into the path of Edozie down the left. He will take on Edwards, who thinks about the challenge and then thinks better of it. Edozie looks to come in field, goes down rather cheaply inside the penalty area, and he gets a word from both Edwards and Houghton, who challenged him. He was looking for the penalty, I think, didn't get it, although he has stayed down.
Yeah, I mean, he probably got an arm in the face there. We're quite a long way away from it. The exact type of situation where halfway in the opponent's half you get a free kick for that. Every single time in the box, it's too soft, it's too difficult for the referee to award. I understand it. It's the human reaction there that we don't want to see taken out of the game in terms of the officiating, and I think it's probably just about the right call.
Nearly 35 minutes played here, and it's still Plymouth Argyle 0, Southampton 0 on Talksport 2, the home of the EFL. And coming up later on in the Premier League, we have Brighton against Wolves on Talksport today, with Wales against South Africa here on Talksport 2 at 3:15. 3 back-to-back rugby union internationals coming up: Ireland against England at 5:30 and France against Fiji at 8:05. And Manchester City against Newcastle live on Talksport at 8 o'clock this evening. That should be some game. And so far this one is really yet to catch light. We had a tremendous atmosphere before kick-off time, and the Plymouth fans have done their best to get behind their team, and they're in this game, no doubt, at 0-0. But Southampton, you just feel, are in control in terms of possession, but now they've given possession away. Teller goes to ground and loses out on the halfway line. Mumba brings it forward, but Charles steps in to win it back, and he's had a decent game so far. Now Adam Armstrong finding Edozie, who gathers the ball in stride down the left, further forward towards Che Adams into the penalty area, leaves it for Adam Armstrong, but in the end the challenge comes in and Plymouth have got the opportunity to break now. It was Gibson who won it, and it's quickly played forward to Cundle. There's a Southampton player down deep inside the Plymouth half, but Cundle continues. Right foot shot from him though was blocked by Stevens on the edge of the penalty area, but it spins out to Whittaker on this near side the left. Whittaker goes down. He was fouled by Edozie, and Plymouth have another free kick.
Yeah, Cundle just couldn't get his strike beyond that line of Southampton defenders. Good use of his body for Morgan Whittaker, just shepherding the ball down on the near side, giving them another opportunity to attack.
Mumba now down the left-hand side will look to take on Walker Peters. Drives in the cross, but straight into Walker Peters, and Teller will try and bring it clear, but Mumba working hard, wins it back, but then keeps the ball in play with his hand, and as a green balloon bobbles away on the far side, it will be a free kick for handball for Southampton.
Yeah, it could have gone either way, just a tangle of legs on the far side. Handball, I think, ultimately from Barley Mumba, why the award's gone to Southampton. I think the manner of Southampton's performances can kind of deflate a home crowd, if you like, because they have such a large proportion of the ball. Had Plymouth Argyle scored early, that would change the complexion, the feeling in the stadium, but I think it's just kind of meandering towards half-time. They've had a few set pieces which Southampton have struggled with early part of the season. Plymouth Argyle, not necessarily their strength, I would say, scoring from set pieces, so that's probably where they've looked had the most attempts have come from their dead balls, or the most panic in the Southampton rearguard has come from those dead balls, but to a point today, so far they've dealt with it reasonably well.
37 minutes played, 0-0, and one or two fans from both clubs beginning to head down to the concourses for half-time refreshment. And Southampton just to continue to work their pretty patterns deep inside their own half, but now Manning will try and bring it forward on this near side. And there's always a danger of possession without purpose if you try and play this style. They want to play keep ball, they want to suck the life out of the opposition, but you've also got to try and score a goal at times. Bednarek will do it now with a good ball forward. Adams on the turn, almost releases Adam Armstrong, but it's cut out by Scar, and it's worked all the way back towards Hazard.
Yeah, it's working out, how they're going to be more penetrative in the final third, and that has been something that has been spoken about so often about Russell Martin in the early stages of his managerial career, and he's mixed up a little bit today with the selection, having Adam Armstrong in particular in a slightly different position, and I think he's been okay. He's worked to a point, but still too much of it is pedestrian, a little bit sideways, and it's that conundrum. How does he make them more forceful in the final third? How does he make them more creative, create a better calibre of chance? And in the first half there's been the odd opportunity, probably the one for Teller on his right foot was the best, but not enough for their supremacy in terms of territory.
Manning with a throw-in for Southampton, midway inside the Plymouth half. Russell Martin is urging for someone to make the run to the left, but it's into the centre and Adam Armstrong, but he turns into Scar, and it's cleared away. Azaz with a lovely touch to pick out Cundall, who plays it back into the path of Azaz, who's been the class act for Plymouth so far. Now wide towards Whittaker on the right. Whittaker bursting into the penalty area. Good turn from him, but the low cross is blocked by Stevens at the near post, and it will be another corner.
Good play once more. Just thought maybe he's a pretty good two-footed player. He's pretty adept with both sides. Could he just smash that towards the goal? If he'd have just taken a breath there and just absolutely pinged it towards Bazzuno's net, it may have got through.
Whittaker with the corner again, lofted high towards the far post, nodded back into the 6-yard box, but Bazzuno, rising above Gibson, makes a good take.
Hard to control, I think, for Dan Scar. It's quite floaty, elevated delivery from Morgan Whittaker. Hard to get that down towards a teammate, and Bazzuno comfortably takes it.
Teller has it now for Southampton down the right-hand side. Streaking forward is Stuart Armstrong on the overlap, but a good challenge coming in from Edwards. Tracked the run, made the challenge, and concedes the corner with 4.5 minutes to play in the first half here at Home Park, and it's still 0-0 on Talksport 2.
Strange decision from Edwards there, because I think he's there first. He goes with the wrong foot, he goes right-footed, and he's trying to buy the free kick. He thinks if he toes that out of play, Armstrong's going to collide with him, and therefore Argyle can alleviate that pressure, but he only enabled himself to kick the ball behind, and Southampton now have the corner kick.
And Manning will take it. And both Bednarek and Stevens are forward inside the 6-yard area. Stevens now makes the run towards the near post. It's beyond him. Charles went up for it with his hand, hit the ball with his hand, and he's going to be booked. And that is an absolutely mindless yellow card.
Very strange, wasn't it? Yeah, it was obvious that it hit his hand. Don't know if he got a shove. Sometimes that can happen if you're being pulled and pushed by an opponent, but it looked like he just momentarily lost his bearings and tried to put it in with his arm.
Well, he's been booked for one of the most clear-cut handballs you will see. And it's a free kick for Plymouth inside their own penalty area. Charles joining Scar and Stuart Armstrong in David Webb's book, but he's allowed the game to flow, and the match has benefited from that as Houghton clips it forward for Plymouth on the left-hand side. He doesn't find Hardy, who has worked hard with very little service at times, the Plymouth number 9. Scored 17 league goals last season and got his 50th for the club on the opening day against Huddersfield. Adozie wants another free kick on this near side, doesn't get one though, as Scar plays it down the line for Plymouth. And now Azaz wires into the challenge with Manning and wins it back. Lovely back heel from Whittaker to evade Adozie, and there's an opportunity now for Cundall to play it wide to Mumba. It was a simple pass, but he played it behind him and it's straight out of play.
Oh, what a shame. Best bit of individuality of the game there. Little kind of back heel, if you like, from Morgan Whittaker through the legs of Jack Stevens, and it opened up just because of that wonderful little bit of skill. And it's such a waste from Cundall, who has the feet of Barley Mumba to play into, and then he's one-on-one, surely going to get a strike away, comes to nothing.
But Plymouth have the ball again. Azaz midway inside the Southampton half, checks onto his left foot. Azaz is still going, now he finds Mumba in space, low ball into the penalty area. Cundall with his back to goal tries the shot, and it slices across the face of the 6-yard area, and it's cleared away on this near side, and eventually Southampton will have a throw-in.
It's lovely stuff again. Mumba on the left-hand side, and then Cundall doesn't see the pass once more. We saw it previously there. Definitely had the blinkers on. Just had to be popped back to Morgan Whittaker around about the penalty spot. Surely that would have been Argyle 1 up.
90 seconds to play in the first half here. Still Plymouth Argyle 0, Southampton 0. As Bednarek finds Teller on the far side with his back to the Plymouth goal, so he has to turn in field, and then pacey run from him, but across the field from right to left, and he's found Adozie. Edwards has played him quite well so far, but Adozie now will try and take on Edwards again, who makes half a challenge but holds up the Southampton wide player. Back towards Manning, and we are deep inside the final minute of normal time. I think there may be just 2 minutes of normal time to come, according to the fourth official, judging by the hand signal to Stephen Schumacher, the Plymouth Argyle manager. And now it's Walker-Peters once again. Teller finding Armstrong, and we heard from Mike Ingham before kick-off saying that Plymouth have always tended to find a way at home through various methods, and they may have to work extremely hard in the second half here to prize a winning goal from this game, because Southampton have dominated, but you wouldn't say they've been on top.
No, it's been a pretty even game. Chances, good chances at a bit of a premium, but yeah, very counter-attacking Plymouth, probably more so than I anticipated. But that's down to Southampton, as always, dominating the ball, trying to prise open the opponent. A lot of the play's been played where the ball is now, midway of the Plymouth Argyle half.
Now Adozie goes down inside the penalty area, challenged by Edwards, but the flag was up on the far side and he was offside.
Now that would have been a penalty. I think it was a brilliant blindside run from Adozie in beyond Edwards. Didn't know where he was, lost his bearings, dangled a leg. That would have been a spot kick if it wasn't for the assistant's flag.
And we are into the trailed 2 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. Southampton with 64% possession, 3 shots, 2 on target. Plymouth with 7 shots, but only 1 on target. Hazard again with a long ball forward. Hardy will shape for the flick on, but it's cleared by Charles, but Plymouth win it back, and here is Azaz again away from Armstrong. Azaz with the right-footed shot, it's blocked, and then the shot from Kessler Hayden strikes his teammate Mumba, but Kessler Hayden is bright enough to keep the ball in play on the far side. Now he swings the shot in, and it whizzes just over the top.
Yeah, real encouragement. A little bit of a mess initially, his strike hitting Mumba, but so sharp out to the loose ball on the byline, and Argyle feel that was a corner kick, maybe off the fingertips of Bizzuno. Referee thinks otherwise.
Still Bolton 0, Wigan 2 in League One. So Bolton's 100% record is in real peril there. 9 goals in their opening 3 games. As Walker-Peters comes forward now for Southampton on the far side. No goals here so far. Edozie will chase a long ball forward, but it catches in the wind. You can see it there just die in mid-flight on the edge of the penalty area, and Plymouth are able to clear. And that is half-time. And the home crowd around us rise to acclaim their team. No goals, but Plymouth have had their moments. Southampton have had so much more of the ball. Neither goalkeeper has really had a difficult shot to save. You can look back on Hazard's save from Teller as the best chance of the game. But Plymouth, playing a relegated team from the Premier League, have more than matched them so far. At half-time here at Home Park, it is Plymouth Argyle 0, Southampton 0.
Thank you very much, Nigel Adderley, with Sam Parkin alongside him. And Sam, lots of chances there, but just lacking in quality at the end result, really.
Yeah, I think probably a little bit of frustration for Southampton supporters, again, considering the amount of good play in the middle third. The domination. I think Adam Armstrong's been quite bright in his slightly altered role, but yeah, not enough on the goal, and it's got to be a conundrum for Russell Martin. How does he get that final little element? Is it about personnel, or is it tinkering with the shape? I think they could maybe play 2 creative advanced midfielders, real creators that can maybe shoot from distance and stay a little bit higher, just to ask further questions of the opponent. And for Plymouth Argyle, I suppose just that final element. Similarly, but they've got into probably better positions, and then the cutback or the final cross has been a little bit misplaced. But yeah, we spoke about it pre-match about whether it was going to be Plymouth Argyle camped in and counter-attacking. It probably has been more of that than I anticipated. I thought that Argyle would probably start fast and maybe have the territory, and Southampton would start to dominate the ball as the game wore on, but actually it has probably been more Plymouth Argyle looking dangerous on the counter-attack and in transition, where there's a bit more wide open space, where they've had the most joy. So yeah, I think interesting to see how it turns out, and potentially the strength on Argyle's bench in particular, that could be pivotal this afternoon. I think they've got good game changers in their ranks.
Yeah, the conditions as well. You know, the pitch is looking very soft. There's been sort of areas where the turf's come up, and also the wind is always an issue when you're vaguely near the coast. I know it's a little bit inland from the actual coast itself, the ground in Plymouth, but how difficult is it to establish authority on a game with the wind as strong as it is? Because I guess you've got to give Southampton a little bit of credit there, because they have had all that possession. Yeah,
it probably alters your game plan a little bit. If you want to play down the sides, it's probably quite hard to execute that type of delivery. Talking about Argyle here, for Ryan Hardy in particular, you might have to play a little bit shorter, be a bit more secure with your decision making. It's playing a part, no question. The free kicks have been, and the corners have been problematic, I would say, to execute to the normal quality, and goalkeepers have been in command of those situations, and that has been an Achilles heel for Southampton. Yes, we're talking about the early games and the early weeks of the season, but they haven't defended their box pretty well at all, and the goalkeepers come under quite a lot of scrutiny for the early part of the campaign as well. So to get in at 0-0 and to have defended their box so comfortably is a plus, but they need more in terms of chance creation, and it feels like this is a conversation we're going to be having a lot this season, and I'm sure the Southampton fans are a little bit frustrated that there isn't more, given the calibre of their players that are out there.
Yeah, it's one of those games that feels like Russell Martin needs a plan B. I don't know whether he particularly has one, and he's spoken about just doing plan A better and getting the results, but it feels like, in this second half, if things are the same, that he's going to have to change something. What do you think is the most likely thing that they changed? Is it the midfield, as you say?
Yeah, maybe the setup of the midfield, but he's gone for something slightly unorthodox, I would say, playing a centre forward as a number 8, and he's been nice and bright, Adam Armstrong. So you could go for a 2-pronged attack. You could get another attack-minded midfielder on there. You could play Teller centrally. That would probably be something to look at. Maybe Teller as an out-and-out 10, or as an advanced midfielder alongside Armstrong. We're talking about a very attacking lineup there, but I think it maybe calls for something like that. They're in such command of the ball they need a bit more dynamism, I suppose, in the final third, and that's partly up to the players as well to take a little bit more risk on the ball. You know, some players, Gustavo Harmer's a really good example, obviously just gone to Sheffield United, always wants to play forward, always wants to play the defence splitting pass, and yes, he has the quality, and you probably have to accept that sometimes the ball's going to be given away, but ultimately they're the type of players that end the season with maybe a dozen assists and 10 goals because they're always looking to commit. And I think at the moment the Southampton midfield players that are in the advanced roles are maybe just a little bit safe and a bit too content with keeping the ball rather than being penetrative.
OK, well, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the second half there. The voice of former EFL striker Sam Parkin, he'll be back alongside Nigel Adderley for second half commentary. And if there's anything that needs changing in the second half, it's the removal of the green balloon that's been flying around that came out of the crowd. That's particularly annoying me. I'm sure it's annoying the players as well. We've got 3 big rugby matches coming up this afternoon on Talksport 2. And ahead of the second half, we'll check in with one of those games. It's Wales versus South Africa. We'll be joined by in a second from our reporter Alfie Reynolds.
The unstoppable force of live football.
Brilliant goal!
EFL Game Day Live
On Talksport 2.
The Oak Furnitureland Bank Holiday Sale is on right now, and you can save on every range. Whatever your style, find furniture for every room. And whether you choose one of our new upholstered beds, a gorgeous dining table, or a comfy sofa, they're always built to last. So don't miss out. Get great savings on furniture with lasting value you can trust. Only in the Bank Holiday Sale at Oak Furnitureland. On now. Growers Harvest Porridge Oats. Price matched at only 90p for 1 kilogram at Tesco. Makes for some tasty overnight oats, which make themselves overnight. Fancy that. That's true value. Tesco. Every little helps. Serving suggestion price match 31st of the 7th pro rata versus GBLD. Check twice weekly. Excludes promo. Selected stores. Excludes Express and Northern Ireland. Details tesco.com/Aldi price match.
Sometimes running a business can feel like taking a penalty in front of all your mates.
Come on, Emma!
And Serena Wiegman. But Xero Online Accounting Software lets you manage your finances in real time, keeping them running smoothly. Soon, it'll feel more like scoring a goal for the Lionesses. In the last minute of the game, at the Women's World Cup,
Incredible goal!
with an overhead kick. Dream bigger. Search Xero with an X. Xero, proud partner of England Women and the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023.
Hi, I'm Danny Dyer, and welcome to What's That Smell? Ugh, smoky with a hint of burgers. It's my barbecue apron. Luckily, I can make this smell like freshly picked lilies. Just pop it in the washing machine, add some Surf Tropical Lily laundry detergent, and... oh, my fave. It smells like my dream holiday. Get long-lasting fragrance with natural essential oils with Surf laundry detergent. You can make anything perf with Surf.
Well, Steve, the new season's kicked off, and what a shave that is. The Skull Shaver Pitbull Pro range is in a league of its own, isn't it? Brilliant over the top, down the sides, and it knows where the back of the neck is. I don't think I've ever seen so much action in around 90 seconds with no time added on. With 3 models to choose from, silver, platinum, and the best-selling gold model, these Skull Shaver Pitbull Pros are getting 5-star reviews left, right, and centre. Order yours today at skullshaver.co.uk.
Switch off the radio. Switch on the out of office. Switch on the indicator. Take that next exit and see where the switch takes you. Let the concrete jungle become the open country road. Let the 90-degree turns become curvaceous, sweeping moves. Let the city disappear in the rearview mirror. Get out there with the Ford Kuga and switch on the adventure. Ford, bring on tomorrow. Search Ford.co.uk for more.
Did you know that if you owned or leased a diesel vehicle between 2009 and 2020, then you could be entitled to significant compensation? At My Diesel Claim, we're experts in handling these claims, and over 1 million drivers have already trusted us to represent them in their no-win, no-fee claims. It's completely free to sign up, and you can check your vehicle's eligibility instantly. Head to mydieselclaim.com and join thousands of others starting their claims today.
It's the totally immersive football experience.
Tucked into the near post!
EFL Game Day Live.
On Talksport 2.
Nice
nice little worked play. Oh, it's a beautiful try. What a score from Wales.
It's always been a tight affair, and what do we expect from them? Exactly that. We expect it's going to be a grind.
That's been brought down, but not before Khaleesi swallow dives over the line, and South Africa have a try.
If there's a team you're going to come up against international level that's going to set the bar physicality wise, it's going to be South Africa.
Jack Morgan almost gets it in the corner, dabs the ball down. Second try in a number of minutes for Jack Morgan.
The captain, I said the other day, he's almost like a praying mantis over a ball.
The team are relishing that opportunity to get out there and show what we can do and put a marker down to the teams that we're going to face in the group stage.
Keeping ever closer towards the line on the angle, over they go, the referee raises the arm.
It's going to be a proper test match for us, which is awesome.
The work that this group have done and how close we've come together and the strides that we've made in this time, I said, I think we can do something pretty special in this World Cup, and I honestly believe that.
Well, our coverage of Rugby Union Summer Nation Series continues here on Talksport 2. Later this afternoon, England are playing away at Ireland. We've got France versus Fiji as well at 7:30. But straight after our commentary in the Championship, it's Wales versus South Africa. Live commentary here on Talksport 2. Alfie Reynolds will be joined by former Wales hooker Richard Hibbard. And Alfie joins us now from the Principality to look ahead to the action. It must be, a rugby day in Cardiff is always pretty lively, isn't it, Alfie?
Yeah, good afternoon, John. Welcome to the Principality Stadium. The sun above the roof opening, you're absolutely right. This, no doubt, one of the best match days in terms of a sporting occasion across the UK. I think there's no other stadium that is in such close proximity to the city centre. The bars will be full, the cafes would have been busy from early this morning, everyone building up to what is a send-off game essentially for Wales, their first match before the World Cup, which kicks off in 20 days on that opening weekend. And they face a Springbok team that has gone fully loaded. A very strong-looking defending world champions come to Cardiff here today.
Yeah, Siya Kolisi, the captain, is a huge player for them. He was actually with us in Cape Town for our Formula E coverage earlier in the year and had a chat with him, and he was really looking forward to getting back to full fitness. And he is, all rugby players are big blokes, aren't they, Alfie? But he is certainly a player that Wales won't want to mess with too much.
Yeah, he's big physically and big emotionally, I suppose, for South Africa as well. Their captain, returning from an ACL injury, he's been out 4 months, which I still think is a pretty miraculous turnaround for Kolisi, but he kept his faith and believed that he would be able to get back in time. In fact, I remember you messaging me, John, when you were at the Formula E, I think it was, where you said, there's a South African player here, and eventually we worked out that it was Siya Kolisi. So he's key for them. As I say, it's a strong side that the Springboks have gone for. Jacques Nienaber, their head coach, has been kind of keeping his cards close to his chest, really, throughout 2023 as they look to peak at that World Cup in France, which, as I say, gets underway in a matter of weeks now. It is a very, very strong side and a real contrast to the side that Warren Gatland has picked. It was a relatively inexperienced Welsh team in comparison anyway, but they've also lost Dan Biggar, Liam Williams and Alex Cuthbert this week as well. They've all dropped out of the starting 15 for Wales. That's 251 caps that have gone in that back line. So a big challenge for Warren Gatland's side. Yeah,
Warren Gatland wasn't very happy with the performance against England last week, was he at all?
Well, part of the reason for that was Wales led, 17-9, with England having 12 players on the pitch heading into the closing stages of the game. And you're right, he was furious that they ended up losing that game. So I think what he will want to see from his team today, they know they face a really tough challenge in South Africa, but it's perhaps just being a little bit more streetwise, being able to play with more intelligence, I suppose, in those moments of the game, a match that he felt he should have won. Maybe seeing his team, which, as I say, is relatively youthful, mature in front of his eyes. I think that'll be one of the big things that he wants to see in terms of growth from the team today.
Yeah, it's going to be another huge test for Wales. That's coming up at 3 p.m, straight after our second half here on Talksport 2, Wales versus South Africa. Alfie Reynolds, thank you for joining me. He'll be alongside former Wales hooker Richard Hibbard. But now it's time to look ahead to the second half at Home Park as Plymouth and Southampton go into this second half goalless. Your commentary team, Nigel Adderley, with Sam Parkin alongside him. And Sam, we really need a goal to bring this game to life a little bit. As we said before, loads of chances, but we just need to see some quality. It just takes one moment of brilliance to get us going here, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been, loads of good play like we anticipated. Southampton kept the ball nicely. The wide players have been relatively bright without maybe having that end product. So, yeah, sometimes a game can be defined by the changes, and that's where the managers can so often earn their money. So it'd be intriguing to see what they do in that regard. Who's forceful? Who really wants to go and take maximum points? For Argyle, a point, I think, is a good result. It adds to what's been an excellent start for them, but in those transition moments on the counter-attack, when there's been a bit of individual skill to open up the play, they've looked dangerous. It's just been executing that final finish or picking the right option in terms of when they get their strike away, and hopefully we'll have more on either goal in the second half.
Yeah, hopefully so. Don't forget, live commentary in the Premier League coming up at 3 p.m. over on Talksport. Wolves versus Brighton, and later on Manchester City take on Newcastle United. But it's the second half here at Home Park. It's Plymouth Argyle 0, Southampton 0 at half-time. Alongside the voice you just heard there, former EFL striker Sam Parkin, to talk you through the second half here on Talksport 2. Your commentator, Nigel Adderley.
Thank you, John. Here are the two teams once again. There don't look to be any changes made at half-time. Plymouth, Hazard in goal, Edwards, Scar, Gibson and Kessler, Hayden, Cundle, Houghton and Azaz in midfield, Whittaker, Hardy and Mumba in attack. Southampton, Bazunu in goal, Walker-Peters, Bednarek, Stevens and Manning, Charles and Armstrong in midfield, with Adam Armstrong playing behind Che Adams, with Nathan Teller and Samuel Adozie as the two wide players. Plymouth have got the second half underway, wearing all green, attacking the Devonport end away to our left-hand side, which has the most vocal Plymouth supporters grouped within it, and Southampton in their white shirts, light green shorts and white socks. Stevens plays it forward for Southampton on the far side, and we saw them have possession well in excess of 60% throughout the first half, but at times there was a lack of a cutting edge from the Saints. But Manning looking to provide it now with an early ball into the penalty area. Teller at the far post fires the ball in, and it may have struck the outside of the post in the fingers of Hazard, and it's gone behind for a corner.
Really lovely pass from Ryan Manning across the 6-yard box, angled just against Nathan Teller around the far post. Would have done wonders to squeeze that in.
Corner's played short. Here it's Manning now with the left-footed ball into the penalty area, nodded away by Gibson, and it will go all the way out on the far side for another Southampton corner here. 75 seconds into the second half on Talksport 2 at Home Park, where we still await the first goal between a Plymouth team promoted last season and a Southampton team relegated from the Premier League. Stuart Armstrong with the corner, headed away by Whittaker at the near post, and it will balloon up into the air in the very strong wind here and out on the far side for a throw-in. The cross is then driven in by Stuart Armstrong on the far side, and it's headed clear by Scar, and in the end Southampton go all the way back to the Bazunu. And that's been the story for them so far. Moments of promise, but Conor Hazard has not really had a difficult shot to save, has he? It's been stuff fired straight at him from the wide areas.
Yeah, and that final execution of pass, that's been the disappointing aspect of the performance. A lot of good play in this type of area. Adozie on the ball again.
Adozie breaking into the penalty area now, fires in the shot just wide. That would have been a brilliant goal from Sam Adozie, taking the responsibility, cutting in field and then striking it right-footed, and I think Hazard was beaten there.
Takes it quickly. I think that's the surprise element that nearly does for the goalkeeper. Not much curl, deviation on the ball, almost just fired it towards the far post and didn't miss by much.
Plymouth tried to play out and almost give the ball away, and now they have given the ball away, and there's an opportunity for Teller to bring it forward on this near side, but he's challenged by Kessler Hayden and fouled by him, and it will be a free kick for Southampton midway inside the Plymouth half on this near side, the Southampton right, and Walker-Peters, who had appeals for a penalty, waved away in the first half, takes it. Stuart Armstrong all the way back to Bednarek, and here is Stevens once again, who I'm sure, as a Cornish-born player, has members of his family watching here today. Now Teller up towards the edge of the penalty area, finding Armstrong, and Adam Armstrong goes all the way back towards Stevens. Every single Plymouth player Bar Hardy is back defending now as Stuart Armstrong plays it forward towards a very congested penalty area. Plymouth clear, and now they will try and break as though hoofs the ball straight up in the air, and Bednarek will regather for Southampton. Manning quickly forward towards Adam Armstrong once again. He breaks into the penalty area, cuts it back for Teller. Teller's left-footed shot, and that's an absolutely brilliant goal from Nathan Teller. The player who lit up the Championship on loan at Burnley last season has scored here for Southampton, and that's a real moment of quality from the Saints. And it's Plymouth 0, Southampton 1.
Really good start to the second half. Just prior to the goal, Stuart Armstrong really forceful with his pass, trying to get it into the front players. And there, Adam Armstrong driving forward. Earlier in the piece, he may have turned out, just kept the ball, drives towards the 18-yard box, cuts it back into an area. I'm not sure it was meant for Nathan Teller. Doesn't matter. He arrives, coming in off the right-hand side, right on cue. Beautiful curling shot, really similar to the goal that the Saints scored at Sheffield Wednesday on opening day. This time Nathan Teller will get the goal. Beautiful strike, curling away from Hazard into the corner.
Well, he had a goal taken off him on the opening night, but no doubt about that. That was definitely Nathan Teller. And 5 minutes into the second half, Southampton lead here. A red smoke bomb has been let off by the Southampton supporters behind the goal away to our right. We can smell the cordite in our nostrils here. And that goal was coming from the moment the second half got underway.
Yeah, it's been a really good start. Plymouth Argyle unable to get out of their half really, or show any kind of intent, and spoke about it so often in the first half about that lack of Southampton penetration. Already those two number 8s, the two Armstrongs, a real good impact on this half.
But now an opportunity for Whittaker to bring it forward for Plymouth, in towards Hardy, and Ryan Hardy is equalised straight away. Morgan Whittaker, the player who found life very difficult under Russell Martin, the player who made it, and Ryan Hardy was there to volley in superbly at the near post, and home park has come alive. A minute after Southampton scored, Plymouth have responded. It's 1-1.
There you go, just a complete lack of professionalism really, just completely switch off. Southampton, Morgan Whittaker, for the first time really, he benefits from a slip from Ryan Manning, who goes to ground, and it gives him the yard or two of space to drive. And then Ryan Hardy, determined, more driven than his Southampton counterparts, into the near post. Tough finish, round about his shins, but controls the finish into the ground, bounces into the roof of the net. Brilliant response.
Well, just listen to the crowd around us now. These fans in Devon have really found their voices, and Ryan Hardy scores his second goal of the season. He's made the step up to the Championship, and Southampton had very little time in which to enjoy being ahead there, and yet again they've not kept a clean sheet. Here is Adozie now, coming forward at the other end down the left, overruns it, it's behind for a goal kick.
It's amazing the fine margins, because that goal only comes about because Ryan Manning's lost his footing. And it's just that split second enables Morgan Whittaker to bypass him with ease, of course, and get to the byline unopposed. And then he's got the option, he's got the opportunity to pick out a teammate, because he's got that space. That happens 40 yards away from the Southampton goal. Brilliant delivery, nicely dispatched, but it's the fine margins in football has cost Southampton the lead there.
52 minutes played here at Home Park. Plymouth Argyle 1, Southampton 1 on the home of the EFL, Talksport 2. And Russell Martin will be absolutely furious, because his team have come out with such intent, scored a really good goal. And you can question the cross, but where was the marking for Hardy?
Yeah, that's the thing that will hurt, and he'll have to look at why he hasn't been matched, his movement. In terms of the delivery, he's going to have to accept that. I think it was a loss of footing that did for Southampton's left side there, and enabled Whittaker to stride on.
Lovely touch now from Whittaker, wide to the far side. He's found Edwards, and Plymouth are suddenly in the ascendancy here, having equalised straight away. Hazard with a long ball forward. 53 minutes played on Talksport 2. It is 1-1 as Edwards is in pursuit again on the far side. Claims he was fouled by Manning. No free kick given. The assistant was right there, but gave no indication for David Webb, the referee, who's had a good game so far. And Southampton will play it forward now with Teller. finding Walker-Peters on this near side. And back to Bednarek, and both Bednarek and Stevens were missing in action there when that cross came in, and Ryan Hardy volleyed into the ground and into the back of the net for Plymouth. With Stephen Schumacher has seen his side fall behind for the first time this season, and very quickly seen what they're made of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's been a feature maybe of the last year or so, this home form. Yeah, they do concede, but they have the firepower to get them out of the mire at times.
20 wins, 1 draw and 2 defeats here last season. Port Vale and Lincoln were the only 2 teams to win at Home Park last season. And the key thing was they beat so many of the teams around them, which always kept their heads above water when it came to the run-in. Now, Adam Armstrong chasing a ball forward from Adams, but he was challenged on the edge of the penalty area. Now Azaz quickly forward to Cundall, and Plymouth are swarming forward again now. Whittaker was the ball to the right, but Cundall just delayed it. He was challenged by Adozi, and this game has been played like a cup tie at the moment. 54 minutes played. Plymouth 1, Southampton 1. Teller for Southampton with an early cross into the penalty area, strikes the retreating Kessler Hayden and spins behind for a corner.
Yeah, it's done for Cundall on a few occasions, just had such a magnitude of options there, ended up not picking any and getting dispossessed just as Plymouth Argyle had strode through the centre of Southampton's midfield with ease.
And Southampton now have a corner, of course. No James Ward-Prowse on set-piece duty anymore. Ryan Manning is taking this. Medozi is coming short, but Manning does have the ability to whip in a very dangerous ball high towards the right-hand side. And that's what he's done, into the near post, and it's flicked on, but it's headed clear by Kessler Hayden. Recovered by Walker-Peters. Manning with a first-time cross into the penalty area, spins all the way through, and in the end, Hazard has to pour the ball behind. There were appeals in the area from Southampton claiming that Stevens had been blocked off, but Hazard maybe lost the flight of that and had to pour the ball away for a corner.
It was an amazing ball from Manning, but I think it surprised even the Southampton attackers, because Jack Stevens was the only Southampton player attacking the ball. Didn't have that striker's instinct.
Adam Armstrong with a high ball in. Che Adams heads it back in at the far post, but straight into the arms of Hazard.
Fascinating. Southampton with every player more or less inside the Argyle 18-yard box from dead balls. Maybe Ryan Manning the deepest, about 5 yards back from the D. Incredible. If Argyle want to be a little bit braver with their setup, they can maybe break and be an on goal with one pass. We saw Brentford do something similar under Thomas Frank a couple of years ago and get caught out badly in the playoff, if memory serves me right. And invariably you don't see teams committing that many men forward from the dead balls.
56 minutes played in the sunshine here in Devon. It's Plymouth Argyle 1, Southampton 1 in the Championship. Stuart Armstrong coming forward now, looking for Che Adams. It was the right sort of ball down the centre, but Gibson got a crucial toe in for Plymouth to divert it back towards Hazard. And Plymouth quickly get moving themselves now. Cundall finding Azaz. Azaz with a good ball forward for Hardy into the penalty area, right-hand side. Does Bazunu take him down? No, he doesn't. Hardy dived according to the referee, and David Webb will book him.
Difficult to tell from here, isn't it, Nigel? A long way away. It looks like it's going to be a penalty. All ends up when Ryan Hardy goes through. He's got that pace. It's just left into the space for him. Gets the touch. That's clear as day. Whether there's contact from Bazunu, can't tell from here, but the referee, what he is, he's quick, he's on the spot, he's made his decision. The yellow card's brandished. I mean, if it is a touch from the goalkeeper, it's not. I think he's played for it. Just seen it again from that monitor 50 yards away, Nigel, testing my eyesight. I think he might have got that right.
58 minutes played, 1-1 here at Home Park. Both sides have had claims for a penalty waved away. Although, interestingly, I don't think the referee booked Walker-Peters in the first half, having not given the penalty when he tumbled under the challenge of Bali Mumba. But Hardy there, going down, having got the ball beyond Bazunu. If he stayed on his feet, open goal.
Yeah, that's why you sometimes don't understand it from a forwards perspective, because even if he wasn't able to strike goalwards himself, he could recycle the ball by the byline, probably square it for a player to tap into the unguarded net. I don't know if it's a change in position or just a mentality, but Adam Armstrong seems closer to Che Adams' start of this second half, and he's getting around him. They're linking better. Southampton have a more obvious forward option than they had in the first half, and I think that's probably down to that little alteration.
Bolton 0, Wigan 3 in League One. I mean, it looks like a shock scoreline when you consider where the two teams were in the table, but of course Wigan started the season on -8 points, but they'll be into positive territory the way that game was going today. 3 goals in the first half as well, 2 for Stephen Humphreys, the other for Charlie Wyke. Here at Home Park, it's 1-1 in the Championship, as Plymouth have to defend again now. Adam Armstrong on the edge of the penalty area. It's lofted back to Stuart Armstrong. His right-footed shot hits the top of the crossbar and spins over, but it was really good football from the Saints once again, and Armstrong inches away from a second goal.
Yeah, much better. It's more decisive, the passing. It's going forward for one. Adam Armstrong is getting on the ball at will. Stuart Armstrong on that occasion, nice bit of space, directs the shot towards the top left-hand corner, half volley, right-footed, just a fraction too high.
Luke Cundle is now coming off for Plymouth, and it's Callum Wright, who he replaced for this game, who was coming on. Player signed from Blackpool in January, came through the academy at Leicester originally, and that's a like-for-like swap in midfield.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a toss-up between those two players at the moment. Luke Cundle getting the nod today, got in some great positions. Just his final pass let him down on too many occasions.
And he will slot in alongside Houghton and Azaz, and Azaz again with a silky turn. And he's managed to release Whittaker, who's over the halfway line, right-hand side, infield to the youngster. Kessler-Hayden now breaking up towards the edge of the penalty area. Now Mumba on the left, back towards Kessler-Hayden again. Plymouth have got bodies forward here inside the penalty area. Edwards wide towards the right-hand side. The cross will be delivered in now. Low towards Edwards, who curls the shot in. It strikes his teammate Hardy, nodded back into the 6-yard area, and Walker-Peters is there to chest the ball down and bring it clear for Southampton on this near side. He then goes down under the challenge on this near side of Houghton, and it will be a free kick to Southampton midway inside their own half.
Yeah, good play again from Argyle. Morgan Whittaker heavily involved in this second half, and they had a little bit of a numerical advantage there between Mumba and Kessler-Hayden. The sting went out of the attack, and Southampton were able to recover their poise.
Don't forget, a triple bill of rugby union coming up on Talksport 2 following this game at 3:15. Wales against South Africa with Alfie Reynolds and Richard Hibbard at 5:30. Ireland against England with Andrew McKenna and Fergus McFadden. And at 8:05, Russ Hargreaves and Tom May will bring you France against Fiji. Over on Talksport, the centrepiece today of Game Day Live is Brighton against Wolves at 3 o'clock, with all the goals as they go in with Ian Danta and Perry Groves. And at 8 o'clock, it is Manchester City against Newcastle with Sam Matterface and Trevor Sinclair. Hopefully, we'll be back home by then to watch it or listen to it as well. 62 minutes played. Plymouth 1, Southampton 1 here at Home Park on a blustery, sunlit day. Stuart Armstrong controlled that ball with his hand, but the referee didn't see it. But Plymouth have it back anyway with Callum Wright, but he's quickly challenged, and the ball goes all the way back towards Hazard. Southampton claim that was a back pass, but the referee thumbs up to the goalkeeper, allows him to continue. Barley Mumba sways away from the challenge of Walker-Peters. He's then cut down by Teller, and Teller has to be careful here because he has been walking that tightrope towards a yellow card for some time.
Yeah, Barley Mumba's so positive when he receives the ball. Surprised he's not been yellow carded, has he, Nathan?
No.
That should have been for that, surely.
Well, he had the 2 fouls in quick succession in the first half, which didn't lead to a yellow card, and then Stuart Armstrong got booked possibly as a result of those.
Yeah, we thought that was the final warning. That was a bit of a ugly challenge from the side. May have got a piece of the ball, but the type of challenge that's been stamped out.
Azaz almost released right down this near side, but Walker-Peters with a crucial interception for Southampton, and Edozie now will bring it forward down the Southampton left, and he skates away from the challenge of Edwards. Adams and Teller wait in the penalty area, but it's cut up back to Adam Armstrong, but it's cleared away at the near post by Scar. Southampton have it back again on this near side with Bednarek. 63 minutes played. It's Plymouth 1, Southampton 1 on Talksport 2, the home of the EFL, as Charles has it once again for Southampton. Adam Armstrong given the room to turn by Plymouth on the edge of the penalty area, and it's wide to the left, and Edozie. 3 wait for the cross. Edozie chops back and then fires in the shot, which was deflected behind off Houghton for a corner.
Yeah, brilliant play. Tricky for Edwards because he can go to the byline on his left foot or come in field and hit shots equally comfortably, like we've seen in this second half. Lovely little body swerve there, opening up the opportunity. Great block from Jordan Houghton.
Corner kick for Southampton on the far side. Stuart Armstrong will take it. Adam Armstrong towards the near post. It's beyond him, beyond everybody in the end. And Morgan Whittaker will bring it clear with the help of Kessler Hayden. His ball forward, though, doesn't find right, and then Walker-Peters was the meat in the sandwich there between Kessler Hayden and Azaz, who made the challenge eventually, and it will be a Southampton free kick. About 30 yards from goal, but it's right of centre.
Yeah, Plymouth Argyle just having to be very precise there. Not a lot to hit when they tried to break into the Southampton half. The pass was just a little away from Callum Wright, gave Kyle Walker-Peters the opportunity to intercept, and then lovely quick feet. Not for the first time. He's really shown his quality since they've dropped into the Championship, hence why a lot of clubs looking at him.
Ryan Manning over the free kick here. And again, it's whipped in left-footed towards the penalty spot, that it's flicked on, but the goalkeeper Hazard has lost it, that it's bundled in, and Adams was claiming the goal. It was a bit of a Nat Losthouse challenge, and it was a free kick. That's one for the teenagers.
Yeah, I wasn't entirely sure why he decided to go for that. The goalkeeper was always going to be favourite. He was always stretching, definite arm in the chest, in the neck. Like that, he wheeled off in celebration, though. Not going to get that.
You're never going to get that these days. You might have done in 1958, but not here. Now Kessler Hayden plays it forward for Plymouth, and they are on the verge, you feel, of releasing Hardy again as Southampton work it wide to Teller, but he runs the ball out of play because Hardy's movement is causing problems for Bednarek and Stevens, and at the moment Plymouth are just one really good ball from finding him again.
Yeah, he's a tireless runner, constantly arcing his runs into the channels, and starting to feel the pace a little bit now. He gives so much for the team, getting in line. It's a hard job. He's shuffling over to the other side of the pitch now, making himself available if the ball has to be clipped into him, so he's a big reason for their success.
Houghton now on the edge of his own penalty area for Plymouth. Oh, takes a chance and maybe gets away with one as Adam Armstrong and Edozie make the challenge. But Plymouth work it through the thirds again, but Whittaker has now lost out to Charles, and Southampton can come forward on this near side with Stuart Armstrong finding Adams. Adams has got Walker-Peters on his outside, but threads a lovely looking ball through towards Adam Armstrong, just a yard ahead of him though in the end, and it's swooped on by Hazard at the midpoint of the second half, and it's still 1-1 here on Talksport 2.
Really good space afforded to Che Adams initially, and then Adam Armstrong, what he wasn't doing in the first half really, making forward runs in between players, getting into goal scoring positions, very nearly found by what now is almost his strike partner, because I think that Adam Armstrong position, or certainly his ability to get forward, his desire to get forward, has been a big game changer for Southampton in the second half.
But at the moment, if you were going to pick a winner, that is a very difficult job because it's a very even game.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting watch in the second half. I think the potency for both teams has increased. I think that's the reason behind Southampton's improvement, has been those two number 8s, two Armstrongs, playing forward, running forward, being a bit more forceful. I think that's all it calls for sometimes. You can make changes in personnel, but just a little bit of directive from the touchline can solve one or two things and make you a little bit more threatening.
And it's incredibly early days, and we've still got 2 weeks left in the transfer window, so things could look very different. But how much will Plymouth take from a performance like this, and how much will the way this is panning out for Southampton maybe sow the odd seed of doubt?
I think both teams would take confidence from a draw today. I think given that Argyle went to Watford and got a good point, that will fill them with real belief going away from home that they can mix it with the bigger sides, the more fancied sides in the division. Again today, same case. So to go through this, it'll be 4 games, won't it, after today, including the cup game, unbeaten. Gone early here, but if they can achieve it, it'd be a remarkable feat. And I think actually the next little pocket of games have been quite kind to Plymouth Argyle. So to have navigated Watford away and Southampton at home undefeated, if they're going to get something out of this game, absolutely fantastic start for them.
And Kane Kessler-Hayden went down injured there, and he's gone off and replaced by Mikael Miller, who has been promoted with both Rotherham and Plymouth from League One in recent years, and he will slot in now on the left-hand side as it's played forward by Scarr, long and high, looking for Hardy again for Plymouth, but Southampton quickly win the ball back. Interesting trip to St Andrews coming up for Plymouth in their next game when they go to Birmingham. Birmingham, of course, have made a good start to the season, and Southampton are at home to Queen's Park Rangers, who have been a mixed bag to say the least so far. Here was Adam Armstrong on this near side. Challenge though, almost gave the ball away to Callum Wright, but he was helped out by Manning. But now Plymouth do win it back, and Wright can come forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Wright's got support from Azaz. The ball wide to the far side should have been Morgan Whittaker, but it wasn't seen. But now Houghton has it. He lofts it into the path of Barley Mumba down the Plymouth left-hand side. Hardy inside the penalty area, pulls it back, but it's been cleared away by Charles. But Miller, his first involvement for Plymouth, down the left-hand side, gives it to Mumba. Houghton with the ball forward towards the edge of the penalty area, cut out though by Charles as that defensive shield. Southampton will try and break. Here is Adozie on towards Adam Armstrong. He's got plenty of green grass ahead of him. Into the penalty area, left-hand side, pulls it back, looking for Adozie, but the cross was ahead of him, and it's gone behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, shame. Love the directness from Adam Armstrong. Encouraged to run into that space, didn't need any invitation, just drove forward on his left foot, and he reversed it quite quickly across the 6-yard box and just a fraction or so away from Adozie. This will be a test for Mikael Miller. Came through the first challenge brilliantly, a couple of crunching challenges, but invariably I think he's been more of a forward player. No Saxon early on the bench for Stephen Schumacher to field in that role. So yeah, let's see how he gets up against Nathan Teller.
And Southampton, with 19 minutes to play, are looking to build again here. 1-1 on Talksport 2. Both goals in quick succession early in the second half. Nathan Teller for Southampton, Ryan Hardy for Plymouth, as Ryan Manning tries to bring it forward for Southampton into the penalty area left-hand side. Overruns it, and it's gone behind for a goal kick once again. And for those Southampton supporters behind that goal, it's been a real dose of reality for them the first couple of weeks of the season. They've seen plenty of goals, plenty of bright spots, plenty of departures, which would have been anticipated, but already they will have seen that life in the Championship offers very few guarantees, apart from uncertainty. Edwards now for Plymouth on the far side, goes back towards Hazard. And the wind does seem to have dropped momentarily as Lewis Gibson, the former Everton youngster, brings it forward now for Plymouth. They try and play out, but Southampton are pushing very high at the moment, so in the end Scarr under pressure from Adozie. All he can do when he was given the ball inside the penalty area is knock it out of play on the far side for a throw-in.
Yeah, just probably wanted it into the space there rather than to his feet, so he can let it roll across him and therefore play out wide right to Edwards, I think it was. But as you said, Nigel, man for man, Southampton around the 18-yard box, very difficult to manoeuvre the ball out there.
Adams given the room to turn quickly on to Armstrong. Armstrong rides the challenge of Scarr into the penalty area, but Scarr with a terrific recovery challenge, sliding in on the ground from behind, and he won the ball and timed it perfectly. Had he not, it would have been a red card and a penalty.
Yeah, I think he's given away a penalty there when he goes to ground, but able to just extend his left leg, I think it was, to prod it back to the goalkeeper. Great recovery from him after that unfortunate deflection.
Nathan Teller has gone down on this near side, but play continued, and now a free kick's been conceded by Ryan Manning for his challenge on Morgan Whittaker on the far side. Southampton are about to make a change. Samuel Amayo is coming on, the 17-year-old. Tricky time with the game to come on. You'll learn a good deal about the young player at Home Park with it 1-1 with 15 minutes to play.
Yeah, exciting young talent. Sounds like he's been knocking on the door and almost ready for some starts in the first team. So see how he gets on.
Well, Edozie is going off, and it's Samuel Amayo who's coming on. 17 years of age, already in England, under 21 international, signed for Southampton, having come through at Spurs. And Russell Martin once again putting his faith in young players, which is something, in fairness, he's always done during his time previously at MK Dons and Swansea.
Yeah, and he will have been, well, he has inherited one of the best academies in the country, always, certainly for the last couple of decades, produced top quality players.
Amayo with a challenge on Bali Mumba, but he comes away with the ball. Now Hardy drives a shot across the face of goal, and Azaz wasn't too far away from turning that in, but it's some way wide in the end for a goal kick.
Yeah, ambitious, because they're well represented there in the 18-yard box. Whittaker completely unmarked on the far side. He'd have wanted the ball transferred over from left to right, but Hardy's capable of that. Scores all different types of goals, good quality on either foot, so wouldn't have been surprised if that had flown into the far corner.
Mumba now does well to win a header, but only finds Stevens, who plays it wide towards the far side. Teller now trying his luck on the left, challenged by Edwards, and it will be a throw-in to Southampton, taken quickly to Manning, who has to control the ball awkwardly on his chest as the ball rears up off the turf as another green balloon bobbles up across the playing surface from the Devonport end away to our left-hand side as Azaz picks up now for Southampton, but Adams comes in with an excellent challenge, won the ball, and there's an opportunity for Southampton to get players forward now. It's Charles, midway inside the Plymouth half, wide towards the far side. Teller has held his run. Adams makes the run to the near post. Teller may go alone here, but Edwards wasn't fazed by the step-overs, got a foot in, and Teller will have to try again here. Manning runs into an offside position, so it's back to Adam Armstrong. Now Charles, back towards Stevens, and Southampton here have every single outfield player inside the Plymouth half, and they are very, very deep, the Pilgrims themselves. Charles for Southampton, clips it high, looking for Walker Peters, who crumples to the turf again, this time under the challenge of Miller, but I don't think there was any penalty appeal even from him on this occasion, and it will be a goal kick.
No, I think both players transfixed on the ball and just bumped into each other, nothing there.
This Southampton's 40th season in the second tier, but only their 6th since 1978. And they had a very short spell here last time as they went through from League One to the Premier League and stayed there for some time. And Plymouth have given up possession cheaply on this near side. Walker Peters looking to take the quick throw, but there were 2 balls on the field, so we'll have to try again with 12.5 minutes to play here. Of course, Southampton won it very, very late on the opening night of the season at Sheffield Wednesday, looking to do something similar here against another promoted team. As Charles has it inside the centre circle, clips it wide to this near side, and there's an opportunity for the youngster who's just come on. Amayo with a shot, it's blocked, but it comes out to Adam Armstrong. But again, great defending, Lewis Gibson putting his body on the line to hurl himself across and block the shot on the edge of the penalty area.
Yeah, a couple of big challenges there. Amayo showing his ability coming in field on his left side. Looked to just angle the strike towards the far post. It was a really good block, and then the second one was even better.
Amayo coming forward again now with a pacey run in field from the right, and he's found Teller on the left. Edwards here has been outnumbered for a second, but the ball in from Teller is straight to Whittaker, but it comes out to Adam Armstrong. Now Manning. Such a congested penalty area once again, but Adams with a free header. He was offside, that's why it was a free header, and it's over the top anyway.
Yeah, it's a good line, I think, from Argyle, but Gibson suggesting that Mikael Miller should have gone with the runner there. Jay Adams in between full-back and centre-half. Really gilt-edged opportunity had he been onside, but couldn't get it on the target.
Triple change now for Plymouth. And the goal scorer, Ryan Hardy, is coming off, along with Jordan Houghton. And the other player about to be withdrawn is Finn Azaz, who's had an excellent game. And the three players who come on, Bain Wayne, a New Zealand international, Lewis Warrington, who is on loan from Everton, and Adam Randall, a Plymouth-born player who has come through the academy here, and he is very highly thought of. And Charlie Baker tells me he was excellent during a loan spell at Torquay in the National League a few years ago. And he's got his chance in the Championship and has come on now with just over 10 minutes to play. And the forward line has been changed now, and it looks like Wayne will play down the centre. He's chasing a ball forward now into the penalty area. Wayne scored twice in the Carabao Cup win against Orient, signed from Wellington in the A-League back in January. Now Amo Amayo for Southampton. On this near side, back to Stuart Armstrong. Walker-Peters. And Charles clips it further wide to the left, and Teller. Edwards again will have to be watchful, but it's squeezed into the penalty area where the defending was done by Callum Wright. But Southampton have the ball back once again. 9.5 minutes to play here on Talksport 2 at Home Park. It's Plymouth Argyle 1, Southampton 1 in the Championship. And we have a triple bill of rugby union to come at the end of this game on a very busy afternoon across the Talksport network. Basically after this game, it's rugby union on Talksport 2, starting with Wales against South Africa, and it's the football over on Talksport with Brighton against Wolves, 3 o'clock kickoff on Game Day Live, followed by Manchester City against Newcastle at 8 o'clock. And Southampton here have been awarded a free kick midway inside the Plymouth half in a central area, and Jan Bednarek was looking for the quick one, and David Webb, the referee, said no. And it was because the wall, such as it was, wasn't back 10 yards, but Southampton were claiming that it should have been their advantage. It's played back towards Stevens, now short to Walker-Peters. Amayo down the right-hand side. He looks to be a real box of tricks, and he skips away from Barley Mumba, cuts it back into the penalty area. Adams very strong with his back to goal. Back to Amayo once again. Now Walker-Peters works a 1-2 with Adam Armstrong. Clips the cross into the penalty area, and at the near post, the header from Che Adams goes behind, and it will be a goal kick.
Yeah, it's really nice stuff. Amayo down the right-hand side. Looks to have a great awareness about him. Good balance. Tricks. So he looks like a very mature young player, everything I've seen in the last 5 minutes, and that was a well-crafted attack. Just couldn't get that faintest of touches, Che Adams, on the delivery from Kyle Walker-Peters, which would have meant a goal.
Stuart Armstrong coming off, and Joe Aribo now coming on for Southampton. The former Charlton and Rangers midfielder. Found it difficult at times to step from the top league in Scotland to the top league in England last season. And he's been on the bench at the start of the Championship season as well. 83 minutes played here at Home Park, 1-1. Both sides have had chances to win the game. Plymouth looking to build from the back now, but Stevens steps in ahead of Wayne and plays it wide to the far side, but Teller unable to gather. Here is Lewis Warrington, but he's given the ball away to Teller and then fouls him 20 yards out. Bang centre for Southampton here, and Lewis Warrington, who's just come on, maybe not quite attuned with the pace of the game.
No, it's the right decision. He's just too bright, Nathan Teller, just nicking the ball off his toes, and he wasn't aware that he was there, and there's a desperate lunge. Probably a tackle that maybe had to be made, and it looks like Nathan Teller could be in some discomfort. But those changes for Plymouth, hopefully they don't disjoint them too much, but I think the midfield trio, that definitely needed replenished, definitely needed changes, because that's the area of the pitch where Southampton have been in command in this second half, mainly due to Adam Armstrong, but Stuart Armstrong has had some good chances himself, so I think it's a lot really for Jordan Houghton to contend with by himself. Now you've got Warrington in there and the fresh legs of Randall on right either side.
16,392 the crowd here, which is a sellout at Home Park. And I was talking to one of the communications team before kick-off, and there are plans here. If Plymouth do establish themselves in the Championship and maybe try and go a bit further, they could redevelop Home Park even further, maybe fill in the corners. And there's no doubt that if Plymouth are challenging higher up the Championship, they could be getting crowds well in excess of 20,000. But it's a free kick here for Southampton. Ryan Manning is over it, along with Adam Armstrong. Once again, the draft excluder has been utilised by the Plymouth wall, so we know that will jump. Morgan Whittaker is the player who is lying down on the turf behind that wall. And it's going to be Manning, but he leaves it for Armstrong, and what a save by Hazard! That could be a point-saving stop from the Plymouth goalkeeper. Armstrong could not have hit that any better, and Hazard, plunging away to his left, made an outstanding save.
Has he saved it, Nigel? I think he sees it late. It's almost past him, and then the left arm goes up. It's through the wall, so I think he's unsighted, and that's why the reaction is late. That's outstanding.
Manning with the corner into the near post. It's flicked on towards the far post, and it's almost shoveled in by Charles, but in the end it's claimed by the goalkeeper once again, on his knees in the thick of the 6-yard area.
Well, it looked like Che Adams was just poised to just hook that home on the volley once they won the flick on the near post. Not sure who the Argyle player was, but just about did enough to make sure that Adams couldn't get the contact.
4 minutes to play. 1-1 here at Home Park, and Southampton so close to snatching another late winner there away from home in the Championship. Wigan now lead Bolton by 4-0. A second for Charlie Wyke. Armstrong in pursuit here for Southampton into the penalty area, but it's cleared away by Hazard. And Charles almost losing out to Warrington in the centre circle for Southampton, and they almost make a mess of it here, and sliding in is Wayne to play it wide to this near side, and then Mumba closing down Walker-Peters, and Plymouth have realised maybe they need to step things up in the final few minutes here to at least protect their point. Now Bazunu outside his penalty area, and the home crowd may be sensing their team need them. Turn up the volume as a result. 3 minutes to play. Plymouth Argyle 1, Southampton 1 here on Talksport 2, the home of the EFL. Bazunu with a long ball forward here, looking for Amio, but it's too long in the end. Will he get fined for playing a long ball like that?
I don't know if it's going towards that young man. He could win this for Southampton, could, yeah. I would say.
We're watching on the big screen the replay again from that save from Hazard. And he must have seen it so late, because it came through over the shoulder of one of the Plymouth players in the wall.
It's almost as if he's committed to his left because he sees it going in that direction, or anticipates it's going that way, and then the hand movement is even later because he's almost beyond the ball.
Adams now inside the penalty area. He was winding up for a big volley, but it's a brave header away by Miller at the far post, and it will be a corner. And credit to Adams, looking at the replays after that save from Hazard, he was the first to go over and congratulate him. 2 minutes to play. Corner here for Southampton. Amio will take it. And he lays it short towards the edge of the penalty area, and Manning. It was set up for the curler, but he never got hold of it, and it's cleared away. Aribo is the last man for Southampton. He will go all the way back to Bazunu.
There's the wrong Argyle player furthest forward there in Callum Wright, because Edwards had an opportunity to start an attack there, wasteful.
Now Walker-Peters for Southampton on this near side. And he whips in a very good ball. It bounces inside the 6-yard area, but nobody attacked it. Here is Teller now. Teller comes in field and he blazes the shot high into those Southampton fans behind that goal.
Good chance for him, and they're knocking on the door. I think he's cramped up here, Nathan Teller, or needs a bit of treatment. But once he's come in field and away from his marker, that's his angle, isn't it? Shown what he can do on his left side a couple of times this season. That's a good chance for him to work it into that far corner.
Yeah, Teller's had 1 or 2 knocks in this game, and he may have just finally run out of juice here. He's pointing his left ankle out to the Southampton medical team as they come on. And we are into the 90th minute here at Home Park. And it's been a really good afternoon, hasn't it? I think the Plymouth crowd have really risen to the occasion for their team, and Southampton have played well, but Plymouth have matched them.
Yeah, and probably that rare commodity in football we're looking at, where both managers will probably walk away pretty satisfied. I think unbeaten, both of them. Uncertainty around Southampton, so to keep totting up the points, remaining unbeaten, not being as easy to penetrate as they have done in the last couple of games is certainly some plus points for them. Plymouth Argyle to be unbeaten after 3 games against tough opponents in a new league. Steven Schumacher would have snapped your hand off for it. So yeah, I think we're placed right now in a position where both sets of supporters and management teams would be relatively satisfied with the outcome.
Sekou Mara's coming on to replace Nathan Teller, and there will be 9 additional minutes at the end of this game, just the 9.
Should never start summarising before the boards goes up, should we?
Well, we had 2 minutes in the first half. I mean, we have had plenty of changes, and they are being very strict on that now, but what it does mean is there's plenty of time for both teams to win or lose this game. And we're into those 9 additional minutes now. 1-1 at Home Park. As Plymouth look to come forward, was there a foul there by Stevens? There was, as Whittaker came in field from the right, and it will be a free kick here for Plymouth. And they can load the penalty area and get this ball in. Yellow card shown as well. Whittaker's been quiet at times in the second half, but of course the key moment from him was the cross in for Hardy's equalising goal straight after Nathan Teller had scored for Southampton.
Yeah, he uses the ball well. He's a better footballer maybe than he gets credit for. It's all about the goals and the assists, but he actually links it quite intelligently. He's got a nice range of passing, generally finds the right pass.
Free kick. Randall plays it in, high to the far post. It's nodded down towards Warrington on the edge of the penalty area, but Southampton will clear initially. Mumba tries to keep the move alive, but he's challenged by Aribo. The ball goes out of play on this near side, and it will be a throw-in for Plymouth, taken quickly by Miller. Back towards Warrington. And here is Gibson. And Gibson now drives it wide to the far side, and it's taken down superbly by Whittaker. He can attack Manning now, deep into the penalty area. It's still Morgan Whittaker. Oh, he's hit the post! And he was so close to winning it there. And what a goal that would have been for Whittaker. First the run, and almost the finish.
Well, it doesn't get better than the pass from Lewis Gibson. That's the pass of the match. It's, 70 yards, absolutely zing to the toe of Morgan Whittaker. It takes out about 3 or 4 Southampton players. That's the reason that he gets the opportunity, or the reason to drive in to the 18-yard box so quickly. What a pass, left to right, and then Whittaker, snapshot, wasn't it? Took it so quickly, weren't set Southampton, and crashed off the foot of the post.
We're in the 93rd minute. It is still Plymouth Argyle 1, Southampton 1 here at Home Park. It's been a terrific day's entertainment, particularly in the second half. And you can hear the home crowd are willing their team on towards potentially a winning goal here. Both teams have had great chances to win it in the closing stages. Here is Sekou Mara now coming forward, but his crossfield ball is headed away, but only into the path of Walker-Peters. Now Amio looking to attack on this near side. He almost beats Barley Mumba 2 or 3 times. In the end, Miller sticks with him and gives away the corner. You wouldn't like to face him on a tiring day, would you?
No, but he looks confident. He looks like he's got good awareness. He's picked right decisions in terms of when to release the ball and when to get at his opponent as well and try and take him on. Good balance. Can see why. Been hearing quite a lot about him in the last few weeks and months.
Ryan Manning will take the corner kick on this near side. Manning high into the 6-yard area, headed away initially. Armstrong with a header, another save, but then it's turned in by Adams. And Shea Adams has surely won it in added time once again for Southampton. No justice there for Conor Hazard. It was a brilliant save to keep out Armstrong, but Adams was there to pick up the pieces, and Southampton, for the second away game running, may have snatched a dramatic late victory. It is Plymouth Argyle 1, Southampton 2.
Time just seemed to stand still. I think the benefit there of having real goal scorers, poachers in the same team. Adam Armstrong, the quickest to react to a bouncing ball. Excellent header actually down towards the corner of the net, and Hazard makes another outstanding save, but it's just the positional sense, I suppose, of his partner up there. Che Adams on the spot. He knows he's scored before he's actually put it into the net, such as his the ease of the finish and his proximity to the goal. Comfortable finish for him. Southampton look like they're going to snatch all 3 points.
Well, it is hard on Plymouth, but Southampton do have that quality. And although it's only a tap-in, Adams has been a real menace for them all day. But now Miller coming forward. Can they respond straight away for a second time? Miller has been fouled and it will be a free kick, and we still have 4 minutes of added time to play.
Yeah, this will be a test of their mental strength. They'll know exactly what happened previously. That looks very, very fresh. So, good quality on this delivery. Cause a little bit of pandemonium. See if lightning can strike twice.
And Southampton have only won their opening 2 away games once previously in their history under Nigel Adkins, when they were promoted from this level back in 2011. Whittaker with the free kick high into the penalty area, nodded away at the near post by Bednarek, and it will be a throw-in to Plymouth, and they look to take it quickly. Edwards picks the ball up off a cone and hurls it towards the penalty area, but it was too hurried, and in the end Hazard has to knock it downfield again. And Southampton just looking to play out time now. Still 3 minutes of added time to play, and there may be a bit more for the celebration following the goal. Plymouth 1, Southampton 2. And the Southampton supporters now in excellent voice. But they were pretty quiet when Morgan Whittaker hit the post moments before that goal from Adams. Into the 97th minute. And this will be a harsh lesson for Plymouth Argyle about taking your chances as much as anything else, and then they just switched off at that set piece, and now Amio has won it back on this near side, but Miller comes back to rob him, and Plymouth will try and come forward maybe one final time. The ball is driven deep into the Southampton half, but it's recovered by Charles, and Stevens will prevent the ball going back to Bazunu. I'm not sure he would have got there, and he just hammers it downfield. Miller, though, looks to find Mumba. Mumba, though, challenged by Aribo, and Southampton now have the opportunity to break. They've scored late goals in all 3 of their league games now this season. Of course, equalised with a penalty in the 97th minute at home last week against Norwich. Now Sekou Mara on the edge of the Plymouth penalty area. He's lost out to right, and Plymouth, though, are finding it difficult to get the ball forward. But a good ball played forward now by Whittaker to find Mumba over the halfway line left-hand side, but he showed too much of that to Walker-Peters, and he can bring it forward himself now. As we tick towards the 98th minute, Southampton leading by 2-1 here on Talksport 2. And they will move on to 7 points. And Plymouth will remain in mid-table with 4 points from 3 games. Now Armstrong, wide towards the far side again, and Mara. He comes in field, fires in a shot, but it's straight to Hazard, and he will wait for his teammates to get forward now, because with 45 seconds of normal time to play, Plymouth have got to get the ball forward very quickly here. They try and play the ball out. Scar eventually plays it forward, but it's cut out by Charles, who's had an excellent game. He's been very quietly effective for Southampton at the base of their midfield. But here is Whittaker now, and Whittaker has been chopped down by Charles. It's a free kick, and it's Hail Mary time for Plymouth.
Yeah, just thinking, I thought Plymouth Argyle maybe had the changes to change the course of this game in the second half. It maybe has had the opposite effect a little bit. Just the one Morgan Whittaker opportunity since they've made that multitude of changes. Southampton haven't really been weakened by what they've done from the bench, and that probably, is an example of the strength that still exists at the Saints.
Free kick high into the penalty area. Bazunu comes and he fists the ball away under pressure from Gibson. Now Miller with a cross high towards the far post. It's nodded back in field. Randall will try and fasten onto it. It's cleared away as far as Whittaker. Whittaker coming square with the penalty area. Fires it towards the edge of the box. Here's an opportunity right at the end now, right inside the box. And it's scrambled behind by Armstrong. And it will be a corner kick as we tick towards the 100th minute.
Terrific awareness from Joe Edwards this late stage. Bit desperate times, but he sees that there's a man over, plays it round the corner, and Ryan Manning had to desperately defend that situation.
Well, this is it for Plymouth. A corner kick. The goalkeeper is forward. Hazard at the far post. The corner in for Whittaker. Bazunu comes to punch the ball away. It's gathered now by Edwards. Needs to play it wide towards Whittaker again. Whittaker hangs it high towards the far post. Bazunu comes and he fists the ball clear again. And it will be a throw into Plymouth if there's time on this near side. We tick into the 100th minute. Warrington, they've got to get the ball into the penalty area. Now they will. Gibson with a great ball to the far post, it seemed, but it was overhit. It goes behind, and that is it. Southampton have won in dramatic fashion. It's Plymouth's first defeat of the season in the Championship, and it was a very harsh one. Shea Adams scoring the winning goal 4 minutes into added time at the end of the game. Southampton dominated long spells, but Plymouth had their chances. Morgan Whittaker hitting the post just before the winning goal, and in the end Sam Parkin, great game in the second half, and Southampton just edging it.
Yeah, really good. Enjoyed it. Two good teams going at it. I think they just have to dust themselves down. Plymouth Argyle, you can tell from the reaction of the supporters, that's another good performance from them. Slightly unjust. I think the draw was probably the right result, and maybe that difference, as it possibly could be throughout the campaign for Southampton, is that depth, that strength, that Premier League class that still remains in the big moments to separate, what was pretty much two evenly matched sides.
A third successive late show from the Saints. It has finished. Plymouth Argyle 1, Southampton 2.
Thanks very much, Nigel Adderley.